What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 3 of The Benchmark. Joining me, as always, my good buddy Armin from Armin's Tech Talk. How are you today?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
Well, I've been better, been worse.
Well, all right.
Well, we're going to get into it a little later, but AMD's conference last night at Computex really left much to be desired. So, um, yeah, we'll get into that. We'll save the worst for last.
Well, all right. Spoiler alert. Oh.
So yes, again, Computex going on right now. A lot of huge news, a lot of huge announcements. Is there?
Computex is like Christmas. At
It,
least for me.
yes, this is Armin's. It's his Christmas. He referred to it as. Uh, a lot of cool news, very exciting stuff. But is there any news more exciting than what Intel's brought to the table?
I mean, what a surprise that was.
So here we go. Intel unveils the i9 series, along with a slew of X series CPUs, ranging from i5s, i7s, all the way up to this new class i9. They look beastly. There's such a wide variety that there's almost a price range for every budget. A lot of exciting stuff here. What was your reaction? I know we kind of got some indications beforehand, but to officially see it announced at Computex, how are you feeling about it, sir?
So, I mean, with the range that we were originally talking about for the Intel chips, I mean, we were talking that they were going to bring out a 12 core 24 thread chip to compete with what AMD was rumored to be coming with. And I guess we'll talk about later the Threadripper
Right.
processor. Um, and then to see them come out with not just a 12 core, but a 14, a 16, and an 18 core chip. I mean, literally to cover the gamut. It's like they saw what AMD was doing with Ryzen and how those competed and said, oh God, what could be coming around the corner? And they said, well, you wonder what? Let's just flood the market. Let's give everybody whatever they want, however they want it, and let's just do it now. I mean, if you think about it, the rumors were these chips here weren't going to launch until CES 2018. So like these are coming out 6 months early.
It. You get a great point, man. There's just so much to even talk about. I don't even know. I gotta be honest with you. I don't even know where to start with these things. I guess we could start with what what the article touches on here. Okay, and that is the CPU Z score comparing the 6950X to the new 7900X. CPU Z scores for both of them. And it does appear that the new i9 7900X CPU does outperform the old i7 6950X in CPU Z and at a lower price point.
Which is always amazing.
Yes. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, what was the launch pricing of the i7 6950X?
A mouth-watering, eye-popping $1,700.
$1,700. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. I wasn't sure. So $1,700, and that chip came out. That CPU came out. Was that 2 years ago?
No, that was Computex time last year.
So just a year. Okay, so it's only been out a year. I'm sorry. So not that long ago, we got a $1,700 CPU dropped on our faces, and now,
Yeah.
and I, this is completely attributed to what AMD's done, and I believe this is all reactionary to AMD on Intel's part um, to launch such a wide gamut of these CPUs. And this is a prime example here of the results. Um, kind of their, well, I guess it was one of their. I've got the chart I'll bring up in a second here, but the 7900X was kind of middle of the road i9. Is that? Let me
I
pull
mean,
up
I
the.
guess that's fair to say, but it's also, I mean, down at the lower end in, I guess at the i7s, you're looking at uh, Kaby Lake, which does have performance efficiencies. So, I mean, multi-threaded, of course, the i9s will perform better. Single-threaded, the i7s should, in theory, perform better
Right.
over these processors.
So I'm gonna go
The
ahead. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go ahead and bring up the comparison charts here on the
Sure.
screen for everyone to take a peek at. Um, okay, so yeah, we've got the whole range of
And
X
what a
series ones here.
monstrous range it is.
Yeah, really, this particular chart, this one. Apologies, I'm not looking at the camera right now. I'm trying to read this insanely small text on my screen. Um, this one didn't touch in the i5 ones because I mean that's for someone, but we're trying to focus on the high end here. Um, yeah, the 7900X. Oh, that is not middle of the road i9. That is the baseline i9. So the
Yeah, I guess that is the baseline i9.
so the baseline i9 is equivalent to the overall king of the previous generation here.
Yes.
So that's pretty exciting for them, I gotta say.
But I mean, I guess the one thing I guess say real quick is the i9 is brand new. I mean, last year i9 did not exist. The 6950 last year was technically an i7
Right.
processor. So they're kind of dividing the stack a little bit. And this year, of course, we also see a second architecture within the same overarching
Right.
family. So
So that's a fantastic point. Is that kind of a how do I word that? Is that kind of a spin for them to kind of twist it to sound better than it is? Like you get a great point. The i9 didn't even exist. So we're comparing a new class of CPU to an older, lower version. Is that fair?
I would say actually no, because really the classification i7, i9, I mean, these are really just marketing terms to get people either, well, and I don't really want to say this, but I guess this is in some ways true. Marketing is part convincing, part manipulation. So, I mean, you're kind of manipulating the market, saying, "Hey, this is a better thing than that thing was last year," even though
Yeah.
it's kind of the same thing. I mean, it's 10 cores, 20 threads. It's Skylake versus Broadwell E. I mean, way back when they released mainstream Broadwell, everybody looked at it as a half step, a slight refinement of what Haswell was. Skylake was the actual
A full upgrade, if you will.
the what is it? There used to be the TikTok, and I can't remember which one was the new node. I believe it's the Talk. So Skylake was the Talk. Broadwell was a Tick. And so, I mean, Broadwell's was Broadwell, whatever. I mean, enough about the Broadwell. Um, I'm trying to think where I was going with this here. I'm sorry.
That's
I
okay.
lost my point completely.
That's fine. Why don't we jump in and just kind of, now that we've kind of established that, there might be of course, some marketing shenanigans going on
Oh,
here.
absolutely.
Going back to the article, um, right here they're talking about these CPU Z scores, um, which I went ahead and I'll pull it up for you guys to see, are pretty close to what CPU Z has on their website for base numbers here. Um, the 6950X in a multi-threaded score of 5085. But I just kind of wanted to give everyone an idea too of where the Ryzen 7 CPUs stood in this. Looks like the 1800X falling behind the 6950X at 4542 score in multi-threaded. Now, I'm kind of being a bad host here. I didn't go back and find the article, but I do remember reading that the most recent update to CPU-Z did make the test harder on Ryzen CPUs, so they weren't scoring quite as high anymore as they used to. Now, I have no idea what's going on there. To me, it's just speculation. I don't know. I don't know, but I just wanted to put that out there that I did read that. I'm sure some of you did as well. But just keep that in mind when we're comparing these numbers. They're not independently verified by myself, so CPU-Z, we are trusting you with your information here. So that kind of gives you an idea of where this new i9 that they tested in the article, a 7900X, will stand above that. So knowing that, we'll go back to our chart here to kind of go over the gamut of these processors. And I also have on the screen some Threadripper stats and of course the Ryzen ones as well. There's just so much to talk about here. It's a little overwhelming. I know there's a lot on the screen. You're probably overwhelmed too, but I just kind of want to just touch on some things here. So what I would like to do is start at this one right here, the i7-7820X. And that's due to its price, which, oh my god, it's so small. I believe that one's $599.
Oh, let's see if I can help you with this. Yes, that is $599.
Okay, perfect. So that one is $599. And I would like to go ahead and kind of compare that to the Ryzen 7 1800X, because that's about, you know, price parity almost. Now with the 7820X, we have 8-core 16 threads, which the 1800X has as well.
So good parity there.
Yep. Base clock speed on that one is 3.7 gigahertz. Boost clock 4.3 gigahertz. And this new thing, Boost clock Turbo Boost Max 3.0, is boosting all the way to 4.5 gigahertz. So, that being said, now I speak a little.
That's an extra 5%. That's pretty nice.
That's pretty good. Whatever magic they're working to get this new Boost 3.0 going, good on them, because that is, and any little bit is fantastic. And this was that without overclocking too. We got to keep that in mind. So,
oh yeah,
1800X, right? A lot of people out there, including myself, with these Ryzen chips. I know people are having a little bit better time with the 1800X, but I have a 1700, and the maximum I can get out of it stable is 3.8 gigahertz.
You have a 1700 or 1700X?
I have a 1700. Okay. So that's where I can get mine, which is, from what I've read, pretty darn good. But even people with the 1800X are not seeing too much over 4. I think stable. I think the max I've seen is 4.1. So yeah, Intel's definitely got the leg up on this one, but we're looking at $100 price difference. So you are paying for that extra little bit.
One interesting thing, and this is just a side note, and at this point, it's very, very much conjecture. There was a comment made by Asus the other day about Threadripper reaching 5 gigahertz. Now, I don't know if that was meant to be a comment in regard to overclocking, if it was meant to be a comment in like extreme overclocking, the LN2 stuff. I'm really not. It doesn't have context, really. There was an article. I didn't read the article, but it literally was just saying that Asus came out and was teasing at a 5 gigahertz Threadripper.
We don't know. AMD last night. I kind of want to save all the AMD trashing today, but no, this is relevant to what we're saying now. Last night they did announce Threadripper officially. We did get some specs on that. I actually have them on the screen right now. We're looking at 16 cores, 32 threads. No price. No price.
Yeah.
What's the price? What's the price? Because then we can turn around. This is where Intel came out of the gate swinging. They dropped on our heads 150 CPUs, all with prices.
They sure did.
As if you guys have watched my previous videos, you've known, I'm not an AMD fanboy by any means. I've always owned Intel stuff and NVIDIA cards for the most part, but recently AMD's been dominating the news because they've been making some pro-consumer moves, right? I like it. I like the competition. But now it's getting to a point where they're starting to slip up again, I feel like. Like this Computex thing, holy crap, I thought they dropped the ball. Talk about an underwhelming conference. Who is that for? Do you think Joe Schmo sitting at home was like, honey, grab me another Bud Light? The old Computex is on with the AMDs. They're announcing that new laptop in that $499 gaming PC from Dell. Who cares? I honestly, man, it's just baffling to me. It's just baffling to me. Oh man, did they screw up? But anyway, back on track here. I can do my Jebediah impression anytime. So yeah, I guess the moral of the story here is we've got such a large range of Intel CPUs coming out, ranging from these i7s. It looks like MSRP of the lowest ones like $242. That seems random. Anyway, all the way to the maximum of $2,000.
Well, actually, one funny thing I want to point out here. So that 7640X, that would technically be a high-end replacement for the i5.
Yeah.
So if that i7 right there, I don't know if that's a typo, if that's supposed to be i5. I mean, if it is an i7, then, literally you've just supplanted the high-end i5 with that chip.
Correct, yeah, and I think that's what they did. Kind of give you the pat on the back of welcome to the i7 tier, buddy. For probably similar performance,
those chips are those are KB Lakes, so yeah, it would be similar performance, maybe a little bit better because they've had time to refine process and whatnot. But
yeah, the two lower tier i7s are both KB Lake CPUs. The rest being Skylake.
Yep. Actually, can I gripe about one thing real quick?
By all means.
So, the one gripe I have is the fact that Intel has this really nasty habit with their chips to start cutting PCIe lanes the farther down the stack you go. I'm sure you have this in one of your charts, but anything below that 7900X has 28 lanes of PCIe. Anything 7900X and above has 44. I mean, as you were showing the Threadripper specs, that's got 64
64.
lanes
Yeah,
of PCIe 3.0. I
yeah.
mean, what is Intel doing here? It's like you're charging us less, but you're also ripping out PCIe lanes. What's the matter with you?
It's true, they are. But to ask you a question, who specifically is that going to affect, though?
Well, I mean, that would affect anybody who wants to run dual graphics cards. I mean, I will admit a graphics card currently does not saturate PCIe 3.0. I believe it's finally getting to the point where it does fully saturate PCIe 2.0. So we're starting to get into that territory where, okay, yeah, it will make a difference because, excuse me, 8x PCIe 3.0 is essentially equivalently 16x PCIe 2.0.
Okay.
So if you're starting to get to the point where you are exceeding that, then you are going to bottleneck the GPU, especially if you're going to be running in an SLI, because if
Right.
you have fewer PCIe lanes, when you plug in multiple cards or multiple I/O, you automatically, or well, not automatically, but have the potential to actually divide your bandwidth in half.
Right. Yep.
So, I mean, that's where you're going to start running into problems there.
Well, and that's what people need to keep in mind when they're making a purchasing decision here. And to your point, that is a great point. The cost of these CPUs, I mean, it's up there for what you're paying, and you're only getting 28, PCIe lengths. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with your gripe. I'm there with you. Hey, AMD's doing something right. 64 lanes.
Yeah, and I mean, they said, well, they hinted at, I mean, not like we haven't seen it in leaks before, that there's going to be multiple versions of the Threadripper, and they all will have 64 lanes of PCIe 3.0.
Yes, they did touch on that, multiple versions. I think the one that we're quoting here, the 16 core 32 thread, will be their flagship one.
Oh, yes.
And then, remains to be seen the rest of it. Yeah, so there you have it, folks. Intel coming out of the gate swinging, not without some of their missteps as well. But I think AMD not coming out on stage and announcing a price for Threadripper, it's very odd.
Yeah, that was odd. I mean,
They
that
could,
was just super strange.
which has me a little concerned, because what a perfect moment for Lisa Su to be out there and just drop the mic. Be like, Threadripper, this thing is going to tear up everything, almost everything Intel has just thrown out there for $1,000. Boom, mic drop. You know what I mean?
No, it's true. I mean, and one other gripe I will throw out real randomly is, I mean, is the Threadripper the next summer blockbuster you can go and see at the local cinema? I mean, coming this summer in a world that has no competition. So I mean, I don't know what I mean, I think they got some great products, but I don't know what they're doing on the marketing side of things. I mean, we'll see. I do hope, of course, they do keep price parity Intel through the first punch. It'll be interesting to see what AMD does in response. The only other thing I want to point out in the chart is, man, that 18 core 36 thread chip.
Who needs that?
$1,000. Oh my God.
Ladies and gentlemen, please don't buy that thing. You don't need it. You just
I
don't.
want it.
I know you want it, but you just don't need it,
I
brother.
don't need it. dude, I mean, I probably, and this is the only thing that would like definitely keep me away from buying it or trying to buy it, is right now anything 7920 and above,
Yep.
we are TBA or TBD. I don't know what they're trying to decide. I think they're really kind of waiting to announce it. The base and boost clock. I mean,
Yeah.
what is going to be the delta between having two more cores, four more threads versus maybe a slightly higher clock on a lower end chip? The one thing I do find interesting, and I don't know if this is actually confirmed, is they're saying with that max boost 3.0,
Mm-hmm.
4.5 gigahertz across the entire stack.
For which one? For the...
I'm seeing that at least in the chart that I'm looking
Oh,
at.
yeah, I'm looking at the same one. I see what you mean now. Yeah, boost 3.0, 4.5 across the board.
Yeah. So that's
So
actually,
why would they go ahead and say that, but not
not
release the
give.
the rest? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know if that's maybe not official, and once again maybe a typo. I really don't know. That seems like even on the author's part that would be a slight oversight, but
Yeah.
stuff happens. It'll be interesting. I honestly, I would like to see, and if I could do it myself, I would. A head-to-head comparison between the 7960X and the Threadripper flagship part,
Yep.
and the flagship Threadripper versus the 7980XE.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, depending on the speed, who knows? Remains to be seen on both parties' account. Really, I mean, we don't have the full details from AMD. We don't have the full details from Intel. So, stay tuned, folks, because we will be paying close attention to that.
The
So,
closest.
now that we've got the big one out of the way, if you're still with us, God bless you, because we like to talk about CPUs. So, anyway.
Oh, we do.
So, Computex.
Christmas.
That's Armin's Christmas, as he likes to call it.
Hey, it's this and E3. Like, this is outside of Christmas, guys. This is the best time to be alive.
Oh boy, he is loving it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, have I got a surprise for our friend here?
Ooh, I like surprises.
Drum roll, please. NVIDIA G-Sync HDR Ultrawide 3440 by 1440. 200 hertz, sir.
Wow, that's fast.
This baby is looking sick. Kind of makes me a little upset that I invested in these LG ones. I have two LG 4K monitors. Can't exactly remember the model number off the top of my head, sorry. They're 4K, definitely not HDR. They are phenomenal. I love them, but if I just waited another year and a half, we could have got one of these bad boys. So yeah, Asus and Acer announced these two new monitors. Very similar to one another, of course. They are looking great, man.
I mean, they seem to have this tendency to announce almost the same thing at the same time, and they also seem to look very close to one another. I think it's a conspiracy.
I think it's a conspiracy, too. I think they're one and the same company.
So wait, Einhorn is Finkel?
Boom. You got it. Yeah, so, do they both have... Just give me a second, sorry.
Sure, no, go ahead.
Yeah, it looks like they both have a peak brightness of 1000 nits, and both have quantum dot enhancement film technology. So, that's very interesting. And the fact that we're getting computer monitors now with HDR is fantastic news.
Oh, I'm so glad that the monitor technology is starting to catch up.
Yeah.
It was really weird for a while when TVs went like off into left field and monitors like, yeah, 4K.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, 4K. That's all they did, and that's what I bet on. I wanted that 4K. Wanted to play those
Oh, I
PC
mean,
games in
I hear
4K.
you. I own a Dell UP 3216Q. I think that's the model number, which is their ultra professional 32-inch 4K monitor. I mean, it's a beautiful monitor. I love it,
Yeah,
but it's not 200 hertz. I mean, this thing follows the speed limit, 60, nothing over.
mine too.
Um,
60 hertz. Yeah.
yeah. So, and no HDR. I mean, as I said, it's got the resolution, but it doesn't do anything special. No quantum dots. I mean, I'm sure it probably doesn't get anything brighter than 350 nits or so, roughly. I mean, and that's in almost specular highlighting when it's not actually lighting up the whole screen. I mean, just like that 1,000 nits, that'll be like at 2%. I mean, the average brightness should roughly fall around 5 to 700 nits when you're doing a fully bright lit screen.
Right, and that is going to look phenomenal. High dynamic range is the only piece of technology I do not currently experience, and I've heard nothing but good things from everyone about it that has 4K HDR equipment, TVs, etc. So,
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. I do love my TV. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna ruin this scene here just a little bit.
oh, you better pick your room up, Armand.
Oh no. Oh well. So that over there is a Vizio P. Oh geez, P65. I don't remember the rest of the model number, but it's the 2016 Vizio P series.
Yep, which has HDR
It does.
and that baby's got Dolby Vision too.
It does have Dolby Vision. You want to know what? I mean, this is a complete aside. Um,
Before you say that,
UHD.
sir, why don't you pop your
Yes.
camera up a little bit so we can see
Well.
that beautiful face?
Oh hey. Sorry everybody. Didn't mean to show you my stomach.
Hey, hey, oh.
Um, UHD, Blu-ray, Dolby Vision is finally going to be a thing. I'm just a little depressed that the first films are Despicable Me 1 and 2.
That is highly unfortunate. You can
And
hear
then
those
the,
obnoxious minions.
and then the third one is like Power Rangers. I don't know. Hollywood just hates me.
Yeah, okay, give me Star Wars. Um,
Right.
yeah. So this is on coming down the pipeline soon. No price announced on these
Yet.
yet, which might be scary for you folks out there. So you better start working some overtime, Armin, because these aren't going to be cheap.
No, actually, price prediction on this, so this isn't the first one they've announced for both these companies.
Yep.
They've also announced 27 inchers, same brightness, 4K, 144 hertz instead of the 200 hertz. So, and those are 27. I think I said this.
Yes.
27-inch monitors. This is going to be a 35-inch monitor. Those are 16 by 9. This one is going to be 21 by 9.
Right.
I'm saying for this one because of the lower resolution, you'd probably be looking around $1,200. I mean, that's my prediction anyway. I'd say put it in the black book, but since this is going to be on video, here's our archive. Those 4K monitors, oof, 15 to 1700 is my guess there.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree with you on both those. I think those would be what we're looking at for pricing. I really do. As much as I would like to see those cheaper, like mine, for example, my 4K ones were 500. Yeah, four. God, what did I pay? Oh, they were 500 each, but I bought them on sale for 400 each. So,
Actually, I have a quick question for you
yeah,
because this is pertinent to the monitor. Have you ever had a 21 by 9 monitor?
I was just going to ask you your thoughts on this. I have not had an ultra wide monitor. Now, I see people like Jay's Two Cents, all these guys on YouTube. They seem to be big fans of ultra wide, and I'm a little nervous.
Okay, so let me give you the rundown on ultra wide. I have had an ultra wide monitor. I think I showed you pictures of that thing once,
You did, yeah.
maybe. Um, ultra wide. Well, for productivity, for Windows desktop management, ultra wide is amazing. For gaming, like SLI and Crossfire, it's kind of hit or miss. Not all games support it. The games that don't, it's really kind of annoying to actually run a game in. It's not. It's not letterbox top bottom, but it's letterbox this way.
Yeah,
That's kind of annoying. It's a little distracting. But when you get a game that does actually support 21 by 9, oh, what a beautiful thing. Oh,
yeah,
what a beautiful thing.
yeah. Well, and there does seem to be more and more support for it as we move along and they get more popular. But I'm the type of guy always sticks with 16 by 9, and I'm getting at least two of these monitors. Whenever I'm buying them. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So the idea of having one monitor that acts as two monitors is appealing to me.
It's really cool. I mean, it really is. I mean, with the only gripe that I would say that I could legitimately have with it, because a lot of these monitors will do picture by picture, um, is the fact that it's 21 by 9. It doesn't quite play out just right. So when you do half the screen, that things look exactly like they're supposed to.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you need to go out a little bit wider,
Mm,
but that's my personal opinion.
yeah. So, yeah, I just really wanted to touch on this tonight just to let people know, hey, HDR monitors are coming and they're coming soon. So just sit tight for those and save your pennies because you're going to need them.
Oh, do save your pennies. Actually, one thing before we move on,
Yep.
just going to throw one more monitor out there. Asus does have, in addition to the ROG Swift monitors, they have a professional 32-inch. I believe it's going to be stuck at 60 hertz. Uh, um, quantum dot monitor. Once again, very similar to the ROG one, but it will be 32-inch instead of 144 hertz. It'll be stuck at 60 hertz. But once again, that's beautiful. If you're looking for something bigger at 4K, I typically do. I enjoy a larger screen. So keep your eyes out for that one as well. I wish I had a model number. I will try to get one to Nate for him to put in the comments or notes for the show.
Yeah. Okay, so saving the worst for last.
Uh-oh.
AMD Radeon RX Vega mainstream graphics cards with Vega 11 GPUs shipping at the end of 2017, possibly arriving in early 2018. Armand, boy. So I'm sitting there last night. I'm playing Zelda Breath of the Wild. That's right, folks. I finally got my Nintendo Switch. I'll touch on that before we close.
Welcome to the club.
I'm playing that, and I pop on the AMD stream from Computex. And things seem to be going well. I mean, not that it pertained to literally anyone that is watching this stream, but they're announcing like these really low-end gaming PCs from your major uh, companies, Dell, etc. I thought that was a good move for investors to be like, oh my god, all the main brands are making these PCs with Ryzen in them. Great, awesome. Then they come out with Threadripper, awesome stuff, everything everyone wanted to hear, except for price and speed.
Yeah.
Price and speed. Give me the price and speed. The devil's in the details.
The devil is in the details.
Give me the details. So then that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And then, Armand, then they start to talk about RX Vega, right?
Yeah.
Well, Armand, they forgot to show us the consumer cards. They didn't give us a hint, really. They said, what did they say? What's the next thing they're going to talk about it in 2 months?
They
in
said
July?
It would launch in 2 months at SIGGRAPH.
Oh, right, but that's the Frontier Edition one, right?
No.
That's what they were talking about?
No, they Frontier Edition launches at the end of this month.
Oh, right, June. She said June 27th?
7th? I think.
Right. So what? Hang on. What was the one she was talking about for July then?
That's it. That's the launch. That's Consumer Vega.
Really? Well,
Yes.
this new report totally contradicts what they're saying then.
Well, no, not really. So I'll give you my interpretation. Well, okay. You go ahead, you talk about the report. I'll tell you my interpretation after.
Yeah, so basically this report that we're looking at on WCCF Tech is just saying that they have some information here that these Vega GPUs are going to be shipping at the end of 2017. They're not shipping in July like everyone thought.
Okay, so
and possibly we're looking at early 2018. I'm telling you, man, if this happens, because they're going to be competing with Volta at that point.
oh yeah, of course. I mean, Volta is coming. I'll talk about Volta more after, but so if you look at the article, it's talking about Vega 11. Vega 11 will be the replacement to the RX 500 series. That is the mainstream Vega component. So it would be the slightly lower powered, slightly cheaper. So you're talking about chips in the $200 or $299, $199 segment.
Okay.
So
what are you saying here, sir?
I'm saying, okay, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you watch Financial Day, AMD said we're going for the higher market. Vega 10 is meant to play in the higher market. Vega 10 is the one that we've been talking about over the last month or so.
Right.
That's going to have the 3 different SKUs that'll fit between Titan, TI 1080, 1080, 1070. Vega 10 will be that chip. That is going to be the enthusiast grade consumer graphics card for people like you and me.
So okay, go on.
This is what they call the mainstream. Really, the mainstream is anything that's really $399 and below, because for a lot of people, and like we had in our E3 predictions discussion, that even for folks that don't make a lot of disposable income, I mean, underneath that $400 price point, it's still discretionary spending, but it's, I mean, it's not like a car. I mean, you're not going to do a lot of hemming and hawing before you say, yeah, okay, I'll buy that. Where, you know, $499, $599, $699, yeah, you're going to start thinking about that because, oh crap, it's half a grand.
Yeah, exactly. It's not
So,
pocket change at that point.
right, exactly. So, I mean, and we just released RX 580. I mean, yeah, it's a rebadged 480. Sure, get that. Which I guess kind of lends credence to maybe AMD is going with a 2-year cycle, or they're kind of restarting the old cycle that they did with the old Fiji lines, where, you know, maybe only the top card gets redone. I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking in the back of my mind, but I mean, that's kind of really supposition at this point. I have no proof that is what their intention is, considering they've already talked about that they're working on Vega 2, or not Vega 2, sorry, Navi.
Right.
I think yeah, Navi is
Navi.
their
Yep.
chip.
Yep. You're right.
So, you know, what I think we get next year is we get, and this is how I think the roadmap is going to boil out. In July, we get Vega 10. Maybe getting closer to Christmas, if the plan isn't to limit it to, say, the Pro line, that will get a dual GPU option for Vega 10. Come early next year, Vega 11 rolls out that will replace the 580 or 500 series. And then around Computex time or slightly later, we turn and we get Navi.
Well, here's my thoughts, okay? I hear what you're saying, and it makes sense, everything you just said. But why did all the reports say that they were going to drop the details on these things at Computex? Everything said that. And now, when are they going to give us the details if it's coming out in July?
Well, I mean, they made everybody believe that. Even Raja's Kaduri himself said, "Oh, there's going to be some great details." I mean, this is the only thing I can think of. Once again, I have no information. I have no knowledge. This is all complete speculation. HBM2 has been a very hard thing to manufacture. So I'm wondering if there are supply constraints. I mean, you know, they are constantly working with partners, as any good business would, when it comes to suppliers, to build their products. So, I mean, it's very possible SK Hynix came out and said, well, yields are great. You're going to, I mean, if you launch this thing now, it might as well just be a paper launch. Nobody will be able to buy one because we can't produce the memory fast enough. I mean, look, if you look at NVIDIA at this point, none of their enthusiast grade cards and none of their mainstream cards have high bandwidth memory. There is even rumor at this point that, and once again, this is depending upon when this launches, that the next generation Titan, the Volta Titan, was going to use HBM2. However, if that is in very short supply, there's a good possibility they could go GDDR6. But that won't go into production until later this year.
And
so
that's what they're thinking for Volta, correct? Is GDDR6.
It'll be right now it's been slightly contradictory. It's either going to be GDDR6 or it's going to be HBM2. I mean, I would assume, once again, it depends upon where the card falls in the product stack.
Yeah. Well, I just think that this is just, it's confusing, it's frustrating, and this isn't what they needed at this point.
No.
You have talked about Vega for a very long time. And
2 years?
And it's getting to the point, and I said this before, it's getting to the point where you're going to start losing people. You're going to start losing them. Because they're gonna go out. I was in the Twitch chat last night during AMD's Computex stream. Okay, and the comments were filled, of course, a lot of trolls, you know, but
Of course.
people were holding out hope to get all these details, and the comments were just flooded with, well, guess I'm getting that 1080 Ti now, 1080 Ti, 1080 Ti. Like, everyone was looking forward to handing AMD their money, and they just didn't give them a reason to. It's got to the point where we've gone through so many of these major events and them just teasing. It's gotten to be, it's just BS now. We're in BS territory, and you got to do something. You
I
got
just
to
had
do
a thought.
something. Yeah.
Just so I know Nvidia has done this in the past, and I don't recall AMD doing it, but I guess it's possible they could do it. So it is, I mean, and I'm going to speak from what I know of AMD, or excuse me, Nvidia history. It is not unlike them to, at the very last minute, drop a announcement for a press conference, like literally 48 hours before it happens. Especially if they know there's going to be a bunch of journalists in that place. Now, Vega is a gaming card. In theory, Vega is a gaming card.
Yeah.
Well, E3's coming up in about 2 weeks.
You really think so?
I think it's possible. I'm not saying it'll happen. I'm saying it's possible.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just frustrated with them at this point. People are excited for this product, man.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I completely agree. I mean, as I said, I don't know. Like Nvidia did that in the past. I think last year they, was it last year? I want to say it was either yeah, 2016. They announced the Titan, I think, at E3.
It's entirely possible, and that's coming up in what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks. I mean, yeah, 2 weeks. I think it's the 12th.
That's all I know is they have to do something. Because they
I mean, it would.
I don't have a okay. I have a problem with them. I'm getting a little angry right now. I have a problem with them making the media believe, the consumers believe, and the people like you and I that follow this stuff, making us believe that they were going to drop the details. And they didn't. They didn't. They gave one of the most lackluster, boring, uneventful pressers I've ever seen.
The problem with their presser is it was too much like the financial day.
Oh my God, put me to sleep.
I mean, literally, that was the problem with their presser at Computex. Computex is not the place to. I mean, you acknowledge the partners and maybe you show a product and let them talk for a few minutes. But when it comes to Computex, I mean, I don't know. It's a little. It's like E3. I mean, who are you trying to speak to at that point? Are you trying to speak to the channel or are you trying to speak to the consumer? What's the message and who's the audience? Now, if you're trying to speak to the channel, then yes, that was a very successful press conference, although at the same time they had their financial day like 2 weeks ago. And even though that's more financial analysts that follow it, you're still in some respects speaking to the channel because you're talking about upcoming products and the roadmap to the future. Give me just a second here.
Yep. Everyone, Armin's alive. He's just feeling under the weather right now.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I
let them know that you're dying right now.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
No, it's so. I mean, as I said, I mean, any public speaking engagement is all about what's your message and who are you talking to. This wasn't for you and me. This was for the channel. This was to, you know, uplift their partners and say, hey, thanks for joining us. Thanks
No,
for believing in AMD. Thanks for coming back out to support this
no,
company
that's
that
Armin. That's fine. That's fine. But don't come out. Basically, this is their
and
equivalent.
promise something you can't deliver on.
They were talking shit. They were talking shit before this thing, and they did not come out and give us anything. They were
No,
talking a
you're
big
right.
game, and they didn't deliver. It was, I don't know. I was
I
expecting the details. I was expecting release date, price, and the three SKUs that have been rumored and we've read about for, like you said, the past couple months. That's what I
I think
expected, and we
I
got
think something
zero.
happened. I I think it was part of the plan, and I just think something happened, logistically or business wise. I mean, something happened.
It's totally possible. But if something happened, like we're inferring here, what happened? And two, how is that going to affect things?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can I ask just one more rhetorical question?
Yeah.
What the heck is SIGGRAPH? I mean, I follow press conferences and I follow like all these different things that happen. I mean, you know, you have WDC, or Apple's conference. You have E3. You have CES. You have Computex. You have Microsoft used to do a bunch of them. I think they've stopped that now.
Yeah.
You have these home theater
Dude, I
conferences.
don't know. I don't know.
Like this is, I mean, like you have GTC, you have GDC. It's like SIGGRAPH. What?
I know. There's so many of these events. And that's just it. We don't work at AMD. We don't know their schedule. You know, how many events they got coming up, you know? Like you said, there's this cigarette thing. There's E3. There's plenty more opportunities for them to say something. But again, if you're telling everyone, and you know it's going to come out in the news, that when you're saying, oh, we're going to have Vega details, we are. You're going to get some RX
Right.
Vega. Everyone's like, oh, finally, we're going to get a price, we're going to get a release date, and we're going to know what SKUs we can purchase. Cool. No.
Right.
No, you got nothing. So, anyway, man, I just frustrated on that, but I'm sure the next episode there will be some more juicy AMD news for us to sink our teeth into.
Oh man, I'm hoping there's some solid news. Once again, if AMD's marketing department is on message and, you know, somebody was paying attention in advertising 101, then E3 is the time to do it. That's your market. That's who you're going after. I mean, it's not just console gamers. The PC gamer does pay attention to that as well. So that's who you want to talk to, and that's where you should finally drop you know, your details.
At this point, I would say that is their last and final chance they got with people. If we go past E3 and they still haven't said anything, I think you've lost a lot of your customers. I really do. I really believe that.
Because I'm telling you right now, I mean, and this is in comparison. So, 2 weeks ago, well, maybe not 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, somebody leaked a picture of allegedly a Volta Titan on Facebook. Now, there's no confirmation if that is or isn't. The card had no outputs on it. It
Right.
was using a GT 1030 as a bridge to the monitor. You know, a lot can happen in 4 weeks. I mean, even if that's an early engineering sample, 4 weeks could be enough to get us closer to a finalized card, at least a finalized looking card. And NVIDIA is once again known for dropping a press conference at the last minute, and they have done them at E3.
And thank you for bringing that up because I'm touching on it from someone who was excited about Vega. From like a like a consumer standpoint, like excited that way. Now, if we're talking about
Mhm.
it in a competitive way with Nvidia,
Yeah.
now these Vega cards are going to be comparable to the Pascal chips. And
You mean the Volta chips or the
no,
which? Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah.
now, like you just brought up, we're getting to a point where Volta's coming out.
Yeah, it's on the way. I
Dude, these
mean,
Vega cards are going to compete with Pascal. They're probably going
yes.
to exceed Pascal at their, respective price point and such. But again, like you said, if Nvidia comes out at the rate they're dropping these cards on us, uh, they have the chance to just wash away RX Vega.
Yeah, and I honestly I think that might be the plan. I would not be surprised if Nvidia does, and I'd hate to say this because I would be the sucker that would buy into it again. I wouldn't be surprised if they did not release a watered down Volta Titan to, I mean, yes, it would be priced much higher than probably anything that Vega would touch, but a lot of it's where your eyeballs at. I mean, do you have the attention of the market?
Yeah, I guess I'm just a little confused. They're now competing with a year-old technology in Pascal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Nvidia's moving on. We're already past that. We just
Oh
got the
yeah, no.
last
I
the
mean,
the second Titan. Okay, they're done. See ya.
well, in all honesty, Volta was a filler. I mean, or excuse me, Pascal was a filler. We should have had Volta this past year.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I don't know. I just think this if they push this out any further, this is a nightmare at this point. I'm almost over it.
I mean, they seem like that they have had a lot easier time getting their CPU stuff to market than they have their GPUs. I mean, at least anything in the premium enthusiast marketplace, it just seems like that they're having a hard time getting it to materialize, and I think part of that is because they went with HBM2.
Well, you got to think too. You listened to the financials. I did not. Now, who's the bigger threat to them? Is it Intel or is it Nvidia? Financially.
Financially, well, I actually at this point I would say that it's Nvidia. I mean,
Well,
considering during the bulldozer Kaveri, um, there was another chip in there, excavator. During those years, it was the Radeon group that kept AMD floating.
mhm.
And now it seems like the tide is turning, and hopefully the CPU division of the company can, do what Radeon did until they can get these graphics cards out the door. I
Well,
mean,
yeah. If your assumption's correct, and it is, Nvidia's the bigger threat. They have made a very grave error in focusing on the CPUs.
I mean, really, it is the bigger threat because at this point, if you look at market share, AMD's CPU, just like their server market share, is like nil. They have more GPU market share, I'm pretty sure.
So they're fighting the wrong battle. They're focused on the wrong battle. They should obviously continue to fight both battles, but it's like, eesh, yeah. Don't get me wrong, I'm loving my Ryzen CPU. Thank you, AMD. I love you. But please, man, give the people what they want.
Yeah, I mean, it's just time. It's either that or, I mean, I don't want to say scrap it, but I mean,
Well, we're almost to that point, man. If you don't come out with it within the next 2 months, if that doesn't release within the next 2 months, we might as well just wait till the end of the year. We might as well wait till early 2018, because what's the difference? And
well, I mean, if we're gonna wait that long, I mean, then I would say scrap this and fast track Navi.
yeah, correct. Yeah, this has been this almost a farce at this point. But anyways, enough griping. I try to be positive on this channel. I really do. But that just really grinded my gears when I spent the time to watch that yesterday, fully expecting hearing some RX Vega news, and then not, and then reading this article today about Vega 11. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows?
All I can say is have hope, my friend. Have hope.
We got to have hope. A new hope. Oh, God. Anyways, well, my friend, I believe we have probably done the longest episode we've ever done. I was trying to make one shorter than we've ever done, and I think we've gone well over an hour. But if you're still here listening, watching, I really appreciate it. Armin, where can they find you?
Oh, you guys can find me everywhere. No, you can find me here on YouTube, Armin's Tech Talk. Nate, maybe you can put a link in the show description. You can also find me on Twitter, Armin's Tech Talk. And hey, if you need any questions answered, you can shoot me an email at arminstechtalk@gmail.com.
Sounds perfect. Go check it out. Armin's posted the rest of the E3 videos that we did with our buddy Chris, so you should go ahead and check those out. But this is Technotronica. This is episode 3 of The Benchmark. You can find me on Twitter at Nate M. Spears, and we will catch you next time.
Later.